Tawao, Tanse, Manando. As Mayor Dale Bumstead at City Council Chambers, and it's my pleasure today to be able to read the proclamation for National Indigenous Peoples Day in Dawson Creek for June 21st, 2020. Obviously as a proud Indigenous person, a proud member of the Métis Nation of British Columbia, obviously this carries special meaning for me to be able to recognize the history and culture of my family going back generations in Canada. Whereas the Constitution of Canada recognizes the existing rights of the Aboriginal people of Canada, and whereas in the Constitution of Canada, Aboriginal peoples of Canada include Indian, Inuit, and the Métis people of Canada. And whereas the Aboriginal people of Canada have made and continue to make valuable contributions to Canadian society, and it is considered appropriate that there be in each year a day to mark and celebrate these contributions and to recognize the different cultures of the Aboriginal peoples of Canada. And whereas many Aboriginal people celebrate the summer solstice, which has an important symbolism within their cultures. And whereas the Governor General of Canada has proclaimed June 21st of each year as National Indigenous Peoples Day, now therefore I do hereby proclaim June 21st, 2020 as National Aboriginal Indigenous Peoples Day in Dawson Creek. Thank you, everyone. Kinaskumtan. We're proud to have June 21st as a proclamation for the City of Dawson Creek as National Indigenous Peoples Day. Thank you. Kinaskumtan.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2020 National Indigenous Peoples Day Festival, a day to celebrate the diverse culture of Indigenous people from across Canada and indeed Indigenous people from around the world. I'm David Christie, Director of Aboriginal Education at Northern Lights College. I am Inuit on my mom's side and therefore a visitor to the Treaty 8 territory. But during my time here, I've always been welcomed with open arms and warm hearts. That is a trait of Indigenous people, I think, though, from across the world, are those warm hearts and the welcoming attitudes. In my 5 years as director, I've been invited to numerous festivals and events. Here in Fort St. John, we always seem to joke that it rains every National Indigenous Peoples Day, but I think this year we would welcome the rain if it meant we were able to do this face-to-face and not virtually. Northern Lights College has campuses across the north of British Columbia, and we serve many, many Indigenous communities. We are working hard at the college to make sure that we have strong, genuine relationships built upon trust with each of those communities and a mutual desire to develop and help flourish the numerous opportunities that are present in BC today for those Indigenous communities today and for their future generations. We were honored at the college to be approached by the organizers of today's event to be one of the sponsors. It truly will be an unprecedented day that will only be eclipsed by next year's event when we are indeed able to do this face-to-face once again. We would also like to thank all of the other sponsors who helped to make today possible. So sit back and enjoy the performances as we once again celebrate Indigenous culture and Indigenous community. Thank you very much. Bye now.
Welcome to our National Indigenous Peoples celebration, virtual celebration that is being hosted by KPAC. We would like to thank our sponsors, Northern Lights College and Heritage Canada. And now I'm going to sing you a welcome song. And I would also like to welcome you to the Treaty 8 territory. And here's your song. song sent to all of you to honor all of you, and we sing this 4 times on our drum song because that way we send honor to all the 4 different races. Ikse nichuagalak. Dance, Beatrice, how are you?
I'm well, thank you, Teresa. How are you?
Oh, pretty good, keeping busy. I want to thank you for participating in our first National Indigenous Day virtual celebration. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for the invite. It's an honor to be with you guys here today.
Oh, that's because you have such a beautiful, beautiful voice. I enjoy listening to it. I really do.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, when I seen you in Grand Prairie, when was it, last year? That was just phenomenal.
February? You mean like
Was it in February?
just in for the synopsis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It felt like a long time ago, because of this COVID.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. The first question I've got for you is, what first got you into music, B?
Well, my dad is a musician and he was a part of a band. Well, I guess he's still part of the same band. They've been together for like 30, 40 years. And he was the one, he would sing to me when I was a little girl and, play guitar and sing to me. And I started singing with him. He would take me to his gigs and put me up on stage for a few songs when I was like 4, 5, 6, a little girl. And so that was really where the love of music got planted, was from my dad. His name is Winston.
Yeah, I know your dad. He's married to my cousin, Lorinda. Cool. Hey, small
Yes,
world.
small world, yeah.
The Weekend Warriors you're talking about. Yeah, they're pretty famous in parts of our land here. And so when you got into music and as you got older, what was your creative process like?
My creative process, life, living through a bunch of garbage, addiction, domestic violence, all the stuff that my songs are about. I just basically took everything that was my truth and my past, and I got a disbursement, actually. My band got a cow and plow disbursement, and so I took the money and I put it into and then invested it into my album. So that's how I got to write the album, was from my cow and plow disbursement. So thank you for that. And I went and I connected to a couple of producers that I had previously worked with. We had the same affiliations before, so we had connected about 6, 7 years ago. So when I got the money, I connected with them and we wrote the album, On the Road to Nowhere. And basically I just told them what the ideas of each song were, and they were so great. They just pumped it out exactly. I told them the sound that I wanted to hear, that I could hear in my mind for the music, and they brought it to life. And we wrote just the 3 of us in a room in their studio, and we wrote the whole album, just the 3 of us.
Wow. Is it out now?
It is not. It is not. As you know, I'm in a season of education, so I'm technically still in school until November 2020. And so I'll be finished in the fall. And so I'm hoping that once that's complete, that I will start releasing tracks and music videos and start promoting the album.
Oh, okay. That's really, I'm going to need to get it for my Bannock hour so I can play it.
For sure, of course.
Yeah, I'm actually going to start a new show, which is going to be Teresa's Country Classics, because we have a lot of people that love old country but don't get a chance to hear it too much in our region, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you were mentioning that you have been through a lot, like drugs and abusive relationships. What advice would you give someone that's going through this but wants to get out of it?
Which part? The drugs, or like addiction, or the domestic
Like
violence?
all of it, like, and to go and do what you want to do, like you with your music and you're aspiring to go ahead. What advice would you give aspiring musicians or dancers, especially when you're thinking you can't do it, being in an abusive relationship or addicted to something? And how did you get yourself out of there? And what inspired you? And what's your message?
Hmm. Well, that's a lot of information to line up in one response. But I suppose for me, I can speak from my experience
Mm-hmm.
when, I was out there and, it got really bad. Like, it was really, really bad. And I was out on the streets and I was homeless and, I was separated from my kids and, I wasn't with my husband. So it was like the worst of the worst of when you hit rock bottom. So I can empathize with being in that position, and the reality is the hopelessness that comes with that. And
Mm-hmm.
abusive relationships contribute to the hopelessness and to the feeling of being trapped. And so for me, what happened for me was somebody came along, a stranger to me, and he planted a seed of hope that started to replace the identity of doubt that addiction and domestic violence plant in your heart as a woman, as an individual, as a person. And so this hope combated the hopelessness, and I just held on to that, and I breathed and lived this tiny seed of hope. And now 3 years later, I'm here because I fought to hold on to this little tiny piece of hope. And that's what it took for me, was for my heart to change, was a seed of hope to be planted. And so now that I'm in a better position in my life, and I'm no longer in the abusive relationship, and I'm no longer using drugs, and I've been clean and sober for over 3 years, and I got all my kids back, and I'm in school, and I'm following my dreams, I'm singing, I'm doing shows like this, and I get to share my story, and I get to share the gift that God gave me to sing. And so the story now is that I will always try and plant the same seed of hope that somebody was so kind to plant in me. And the way that I know how to do that is to tell the truth. To tell the truth that, yeah, it's okay. I was there. I see you. I hear you. You can come out of it. Fight for your life. Believe in yourself. Even when no one else believes in you, believe in yourself. And you can do anything. If God can take me off the streets, out of the gutter, out of abuse, out of drug addiction, out of the lost path that I was on, he can do the same for you. And you just have to believe that you can do it. And he will bring people in your life to align, to give you the right word, and to encourage you, and to love you until you can encourage and love yourself again. And it really is a huge network of people, and unconditional positive regard, encouragement, love, and support that you have to find. And just hold on to your hope, and hold on to the idea that you can be better, and that you can have a better life, and that you actually deserve it, because you do.
Yeah, definitely do. See, you answered them all. How awesome are you, hey?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Lord.
So I just want to thank you for being part of our celebration. And I'm looking forward to listening to your music and playing it on my radio show. Plus, we're going to put it on Chet TV, right? So they'll be playing it all probably out next week and whenever they want to. So it'll be on there continuously. But I want to thank you very much for participating in our celebration.
Amen. Thank you so much for inviting me. I look forward to, I hope, working together again, Teresa. Thank you for thinking of me. Happy National Indigenous Day, everybody.
Yes,
Love
you
from
too.
Lake.
Loves, kisses.
Love from Sturgeon Lake. Have a good one, guys.
Yeah.
Take care.
Hello, everybody, wherever you are in Canada. For all of those who don't know who I am, my name is Beatrice Love, and I am from Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation, Reserve 154, Canada. And I just want to quickly shout out to Heritage Canada and KPAC for putting on this show and inviting me, giving me the privilege to be part of it this year. Thank you so much. And before we get into it, for those of you who don't know me, I came back onto the music scene about a year and a half ago. I decided I was gonna chase my dreams and go after all the things that I love. And by the grace of God, I've been able to sing on many stages over the last year and a half, which has been such a great honor and such a rich blessing in my life. So thank you. And I want to say happy National Indigenous Day to all my Indigenous brothers and sisters all out there, sending love. And I actually created a body of work, my album called On the Road to Nowhere, and it hasn't been released yet. So I want to invite you to celebrate a sneak peek with me at some of the songs that are on the album that I'm going to sing for you today. And I just want to tell you a little bit about each song before I sing it for you. So as you know, the repercussions of what our people went through, causes a lot of trauma. And people, including myself, our people, we don't always know how to deal with that. And so we get caught up. We get caught up in alcoholism and drug addiction, and that was the story of my life. Hallelujah, I am 3 years clean and sober. I celebrated 3 years clean and sober on May 12th. And so I wrote a song about my walk with the devil, because that's exactly what I think that it is, right? We walk in darkness when we're in addiction. And so, of course, I had to write a song honoring where I came from to help me get to where I'm going, to stay grounded in gratitude. But the reason I wrote this song is to encourage people. If you have a sister or a brother, a friend, a mother, a husband, a cookum, a Muslim, and somebody that you love is struggling with addiction, just know that there is always hope, that I am what an answered prayer in the flesh looks like. Pray for your loved one. Never give up on them. Never lose hope. Because I am clean and sober, and I am a living, walking testimony that they can do it. That we can do it. Amen? So I'm going to sing my first song for you, and it is called I Walk with the Devil.
Dear Lord Jesus, come into my heart. Forgive me of my sin. Wash me and cleanse me. Set me free. Thank you for sending the Son to die for me. I know He rose from the dead for me and is coming back for me.
Thank you, Lord. Heard a few times they say, don't hang out with bad kids, but I took the money, I took the key to my soul. Slave to my pipe, my kids paid the price when I took That's right. That's what he is. And if you are not diligent to watch over and protect your life, he will attack to take it by any means possible. And so I'm just really grateful. I thank you, Lord, for this day, for giving me this gift of song and the courage to share my story. Not only for my Indigenous brothers and sisters today, but for all of us out there who need a little bit of the truth. And so I thank you, Lord, for giving me the gift of song and for giving me this opportunity to sing today for these wonderful people. I ask you to bless them, Father. And I want to encourage you that, you know, no matter where you come from, no matter what you've been through, no matter what's happened to you, you know, that you can be free. You know, and it took me a long time to realize that I could be free. I can be free from the brokenness and the trauma and the bondage and the bounds of addiction. And so I had to write a song of my ghetto testimony and how I'm finally free at last. Hallelujah. And you know, the way that I have peace now, the way that I acquired that peace was to tell my truth, to own my truth, and to sing it loud and proud, and just to let it acknowledge it right there in the past, and that it's part of who I was and why I am where I am today. But I'm on a brand new start, brand new path, on the best version of myself. And so I'm gonna sing a song I wrote called Free at Last, my ghetto testimony. Cause I'm free at last, was a prisoner of my own accord, then I felt the Lord, now I'm free at last, time heals all wounds and I am a witness to that, I ain't looking back, I was just a sweet babe, crawling around on floors, I was looking for rocks, I probably smoked the night before. It's up on Craigslist. You hear the knock, knock, knock at the door. Basement party popping like I ran my own drugstore. Just pause for a minute. Hallelujah, I ain't no longer with. When I will run strong with a sip off to another high. Cause I'm free at last. Was a prisoner of my own accord. And then I feel the Lord. Now I'm free at last. Time heals the wounds and I am a witness to that. I ain't looking back. People ask why I messed up. It started in my youth. These generations after generations of abuse. But you can't thank the church for that. Robbed children from their homes. They broke our people, stole our spirit. But the whole world knows. Well, let's hear for a minute. Hallelujah, it's time for forgiveness. It's not for them, it's all for us. So folks, won't you follow me? Hey! Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. See, mama's felt the Lord. Oh, yes, I am. witness. Thank you, Lord. Say, can I get a witness up in here? Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. See, mama's found the Lord, and I thank you, Lord. Say, I am a witness today. Woo! I'm free and live. Hey, let me tell you something. How my life is so much, it's better today. Said, oh, yeah, yeah. I thank you, Lord. I love you all. I'm free and blessed. Woo! I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna keep singing. Yes, 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 Lord. So I usually have a sound guy taking care of my music and allowing me the next moment to come in and sing the next track. But because of the unforeseen COVID situation that the whole planet is enduring and experiencing right now, I gotta be the sound guy, I gotta keep my temperature and sweat, I gotta find a venue, and I wanna shout out real quick to my nation, Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation, who allowed me this space to come and sing for y'all at the Department of Health Services. Amen? So thank you, my nation, for standing behind me and allowing me to use the space and allowing me to sing for y'all today. And for everybody out there who is experiencing, negative effects of this virus, I just pray that you are all safe, staying safe, and know that as one, we will come out of this together. So, as many of you know, our women keep seeming to go missing. They get murdered. Nobody cares. Or at least it doesn't seem that anybody but us care, unfortunately. And one of the reasons I believe that that's the case is that a lot of our women that go missing or get murdered, they live a high-risk lifestyle. And what I mean by that is, they're on the streets, they're caught up in fast living. And so somehow, just because of that fact, they're less than or worth less than the average person. And that just infuriates me. So I'm trying this new thing called healthy anger management and healthy, lifestyle and trying to walk the talk. And so one way that I can bring awareness to this situation and talk about it, regardless of where they come from, even if they were street girls, that doesn't matter. She is still somebody. Period. She's somebody. And so I got this just recently from an elder here on my nation. She gave this to me. And so I made a commitment that from now on, every show I do, I'm going to wear something. And I'm always going to sing this song every stage that I get to let people know, that she's somebody and she matters. She matters. So I wrote this song. It's called She's Somebody.
Baby, what's up? I'm good, how are you? It's been too long. All rehabilitated and shit. I'm all straight Joe and shit now. It's kind of cool, but I can't get
It's not like I was brought up to trek from no man. It's not all like I asked for, no stranger's hand. This never was my dream, wasn't in my plan, but somehow, in some way, I got wrapped up in this trade. Became a single mama at the age of 17. Had a baby that this mama had to feed. It was $60, but that was the need. I don't care what they say, at the time it was my way. I'm somebody's mother, I'm somebody's sister, yeah. I'm somebody's daughter, and I'm somebody's lover. Just 'cause I'm walking the line don't mean my star don't shine. I'm still somebody, I'm somebody to me, yeah. It's real funny how the people wanna go trash us, when half the men that they live with creep with us. Everyone has their place, and that was ours. Was our home, was our love. This is one place we belong. See, I won't say I'm sorry for these things I've done, because I'll never be sorry for feeding my sons. See, I don't even have the words to finish this song. I felt good in my home, in this one place I belong. Yeah, I'm somebody's mother, I'm somebody's sister, yeah. I'm somebody's daughter, and I'm somebody's lover. Just 'cause I'm walking a line don't mean my star don't shine. I'm still somebody, I'm somebody to me, yeah. You know, when I first started my hustle, I didn't know nothing about the world. I didn't know nothing about myself, because I was just a baby. But you see, these women, they took me in, they gave me shelter, they showed me love. I ate with these women, I grew up with these women, I learned to love through these women. I don't care what anybody say, they all talk left to me. She's somebody's mother, she's somebody's sister, yeah. She's somebody's daughter, she's somebody's lover. And just 'cause she's walking the line don't mean her star don't shine. She's still somebody, somebody to be, yeah. Yes. So I'm sitting on this album, you know, this soul R&B, you know, old school vibe, beautiful album, and I'm so excited to share it with the world. I can't wait to, you know, get a release date. And like right now I'm in a season of education, and I understand that's what my calling is right now, and the Lord has called me to go to school for another, you know, few months. And when that's over, I'm just waiting for the green light to let the Lord to say, okay, baby girl, get on releasing that music. But all in the right time. So I'm really excited. I'm so grateful to be able to share some of the songs with y'all today. It's always a privilege of mine, an honor of mine, to be able to sing for people and share my story. And I'm a Cree from Treaty 8. Both my parents are from different nations of Treaty 8. And I'm actually home right now because of all this COVID. I was just living in Vancouver, now I'm back home. And so it's a nice feeling to still be able to be able to sing, even if we're doing it like this. I might not get to hear you clap, or you may not, we may not get to vibe together, and I might not have a sound guy, but we are still in this together. Thank you. And I'm sending love from Reserve 154 here in Alberta, Canada. So we got you. We're still here, And so the last song that I'm gonna sing for you, I was married. I was with this man for a long time, 10 years of my life. I'm 33 years old, and I'm finally gonna be going through a divorce, and here's why, right? Because, sometimes love is not, it's hard work, first of all, but it's not supposed to be abusive. Either way, violence from the man or the woman. And that's another story of so many of our Indigenous people. This is like our normal, this crazy, toxic, codependent kind of love, violence kind of love. And I was all up in that. And the longer I'm sober and clean, and the more that I work towards the best version of me, and to be healthy and to be respectful and all that, and to grow up and mature, the more violence doesn't make sense to me. And so, or any kind of mental or physical, emotional, financial abuse, none of that. And so I made a choice, recently to be better. Amen? And because I wrote this album, I want to say like a year and a half. We started writing the album like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And so I wrote this when I was still heavily involved with my marriage, and I thought we were still in it, I was going to be in it to the end. And it's a beautiful song. I love singing it. Everywhere I go, someone in the crowd can relate. But this is a story of the toxicity of relationships. Amen? And I want to encourage you, if you're in one, that you can get out too. So I wrote this song because I spent 10 years with my husband, and it's called You. Your mama didn't like me from the start. No, my daddy didn't want to moon out and break my heart. But your charm was electric, touch is kinetic. That's the power you have over me. We were never destined to be the odds, and no. But whoever really thought we would, now together we're toxic. Mama's your poison, got you right in the palm of my hand. No matter what we go through, I'll always come back to you. No matter what you say, what you do now, I'll always be here for you. No matter what we go through, I'll always come back to you. I must be crazy now. What you say, what you do, I'll always be here for you. So what everything that they said did come true. Look, you beat me, I stabbed you, that stuff is true. Look, I stole her money, I ran around town with everyone but you. Ooh, hey, see, we were never destined to beat the odds, and no. But whoever really thought we would, now together we're toxic. This man was my poison, had me right in the palm of his hand. Oh, that's right. Oh, see, that's right. No matter what you say, what you do, sing it, hey. Oh, I love it so. so dumb. I love you, baby. Oh, I said, Lord, 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 I'm so dumb. Woo! 'Cause he's my baby, baby. Yes, see, he's my baby. Yes, he was, and I know that he's my baby. Yes, he's my baby. I'm probably gonna be dumb. I'm gonna go hold his hand till the end. No, I'm not gonna be dumb no more. I'm not gonna go hold his hand.
Dear
But I
Lord
was.
Jesus, come into my heart. Forgive me.
Me being a multitasker sound guy, and it's not working out. I just like the role of coming out, putting on a show for y'all, and then leave the sound to the sound guys. And I can't wait to be on a real stage and come give a real show, excuse me, and just be with y'all for real. But until then, until next time, thank you so much for having me. Shout out to Heritage Canada, KPAC. Happy National Indigenous Day, my sisters and brothers. And I'm sending love. I'm Beatrice Love. I'm sending love from Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation, y'all. Bye-bye.
Dancer Metis Bev, welcome to our first National Indigenous Peoples Day virtual celebration.
Yeah, isn't that great? We all got to learn this new technology, so if we can't go and reach out to the people, we'll find a way. That's just the way we are, right?
Definitely, because smoke signals don't work anymore. so, so you're going to be doing some instruction and jigging for us. So could you tell me what specific movements and jigging are important, and are they hard to do?
No, it's very simple actually. When I'm doing the teaching of the jigging, and it's like there's one thing that's important to me, and that's the fiddler, right? And I was brought up to feel the music, and because that's where when you're listening to the fiddle, you're connecting your spirit, and it's the first part that I actually and understand it, because all fiddlers from across this land, just like our language, the fiddler will change. So you have to connect before you get up and dance. And the second part is I use body parts for you to remember what part of the music are you following. So the high sound, I like to say, we're born from two different blended cultures. So the first part of the music, the high sound, comes from our European side up here. Close, you know, like your body is going to be shaking, like I call it the baby jig.
Okay.
That bounces on our knee, right?
Yeah.
So that connection there, and if the second part of the music goes to our second part of our culture, which is the First Nations, their fancy steps, they use their legs. So there's a one sound and a two sound, and if you comprehend that, okay, first you listen, then you use your body, and then you use your legs. Those are three parts that you have to comprehend when you're learning how to jig. So make it simple to understand, and you know what? We'll get more and more jiggers and more kids out there understanding what you have to do when you jig. And I have fun doing that.
Wow, thank you. I never knew that. That's really good information for me to have. So when and where did you learn how to jig?
Well, I learned since I was born in Fort Vermilion, Alberta, and just outside a little place called Rocky Lane, and our cousins over there lived in Buttertown too. So a lot of this we danced since we were little kids, and as I got a little bit older, I started comprehending the almost like the medicine wheel. Comprehend. When I was a baby, they taught me this step, and then when I got a little bit older, they taught me the happy feet step, and then it sort of evolved the whole coming right back to be an elder. So I think a lot of our dancing comes from different communities that I've been to, and I've learned a lot along the way that we're all these traditional steps were different in different areas. So pick them all up as I've been traveling since I was 15 years old. So I really did live the Métis life. I traveled from town to town to town, and Dawson Creek was a big part of where I grew up. And I was raised by the Latender family. I was raised by your family. I moved there when I was 15, and same thing. We had watching people and picking up different dance steps and comprehending and accepting that people are all different when styles are all different. But yeah, I learned very young from Narcisse and Harwood Lizotte, the Lizotte family. We married.
Yeah.
And Howard Lizotte lived in Pooscoopie, just outside of Dawson Creek. And they were with a family of 5 brothers. And we used to go to Grandpa Narcisse's house, or Grandma, Mom and Dad. They would throw us a wagon, and we would go to Grandpa Narcisse, and he taught us. The fiddlers teach you how to dance jig, and that's what they did for us. And I was lucky and very fortunate to be born with a lot of musicians and singers around me. And it just, the spirit of our dancing has always been there.
Awesome. So you mentioned something about your family. So can you tell me a little bit about your Métis history? Like, did all your family dance?
All of them, yeah. And we family of 19, Mac and Nora Lambert, and big families, like huge cousins. I got 13 and 14 into our cousins. We had no TV, and we had nothing to do. So a lot of times we would just put on the music, and that was our entertainment. And like I said, everybody in our community, it takes a community to raise a child. But in Fort Vermilion, we had a lot of talented dancers, two-steppers and square dancers, and I'm so fortunate to be surrounded by that when I was growing up. And that's where I got my passion from. I was like, and I just enjoy what I do because I was brought up with it. These families in Fort Vermilion are generations and generations of musicians and talented singers. You could see them on this virtual National Peoples Day coming up. I was born in, the Lambert family, the Lizotte, the Paul, the Chalafous. And do you want to hear Grandpa Narcisse?
Sure.
I'm going to, this is my connection, is this man right here. And he gave me that spirit for my Métis history and culture. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to just do a little wee clip here of Grandpa Narcisse. And he used to dance like this. And that was Grandpa Narcisse. And, growing up with the music and dancing and not really comprehending that the dancing, right? The spirit of that dancing connected to our Métis history. We talked about the traditional songs and Drops of Brandy, Duck Dance, Reel of Four, all of that accompanied the music, followed it, right? Mm-hmm. Music, but the connection of being Métis and what it really meant in our history, the way we lived, right? My Métis history,
Mhm.
put it in a nutshell, is I was raised with it. We went out, we planted our gardens. We lived off of the land. And my mothers and fathers taught us about our Métis way of living,
Mhm.
right? We went out to the bush to pick berries. We had gardens and I lived it. Let's put it that way. I live it, I breathe it, and I preach it. And now I preach it.
Yay!
Yeah. So, I'd like to thank everybody for doing this at a time during COVID. People are getting lonesome, and we're missing that spirituality of our musicians and dancing live, right? It's nothing but doing it live. And for the Northern Lights College in Dawson Creek and Kiwanis Performing Arts, I am grateful to be sharing my knowledge. And everybody's lived in a different community and has a lot to share, and that has to be passed on to our next generation.
Mhm.
Our children need an education, right? But if we don't give them their roots, and your roots will guide you into anything you want to do in your life.
Yeah.
How important is our culture to guide you and give them the best education they can get? And I will continue to do that with children, is to go into schools and promote health and culture and education. That's what I'll be doing for the rest of my life. I was going to show you I still have it right here, and I was gifted with this ring. I always say I'll be married to my culture forever.
Yes, we're very blessed to have you, keeping up the culture, keeping it alive. It's very, very important, especially now it seems our generation is coming alive again, right? And so we need teachers like you to be teaching us about our culture. So thank you for everything that you do. And thank you for coming here and being part of our show. Kinanaskumtin.
Amen. Thank you. Happy Aboriginal Day.
You too. There.
And we're on our way. Welcome to my kitchen party. Hi, everybody. My name is Metis Bev, and welcome to my kitchen party and Métis culture. I'd like to thank the Kiwanis Art Center for inviting me to do a short video for you, and so I can join in with the celebrations for Indigenous Day and continue celebrating our culture even though it's COVID. And I call it the COVID blues. But guess what? When your music and your dancing is in your spirit, it'll just lift up your spirits, and that's all we got to do during a time like this. And think positive thoughts the whole time. And this is what I'm doing. I'm not used to being on crowds. I'm used to being out of there and talking to people, and it's very different for me. But you know what? Got to learn something new. So this is a little bit about Métis culture here. And first of all, we're going to talk about how all of this started and how the Métis became their unique culture. Okay, so I'll just give you a little quick overview. Okay, so once upon there was a Frenchman. Okay, and this Frenchman lived in a far, far away land, and he had a beautiful hat like this, and it rained and rained and rained. Okay, so he found out about the beaver in Canada. And this little beaver, right, it lives in the water, so when it jumps out of the water just runs off of his fur. And they thought, why don't we go to Canada? And we'll save lots of money. So they get over here in 60 below, and they have a hard time surviving. And they didn't know where to go and, find keep warm and find out where to pick the medicine when they got sick. Okay, so they thought, well, let's marry the First Nations people. They know everything about this land. They knew where to go pick the medicine. They knew where to go hunt and fish and trap. So they married these women now. And that's how a new nation began. Okay? So, the Métis. Métis means mix. That means a blend of both cultures. The European culture on this side, and the other side we have the First Nations culture. And then a Métis was born. I have my little Métis baby here. Okay, and this government and everybody said, who are these Métis people? So we start putting our names in a book, and that we call it genealogy book. And that's how we tell if you're Métis, you can be First Nations and Métis, you can be Ukrainian and Métis. Okay, but it's a very new style, uniqueness about us. Okay, and so we took a blend from our music, our language, our dancing, and this fiddle was very, very important to the Métis people for our dancing, because we took both styles of music. They called it violin, we called it fiddle. And we took that and we made it into our unique dances. And today I'm going to teach you how to do the Red River Jig. And this man right here was Louis Riel. He died for our Métis people, and we honor and respect him to this day. And we're going to keep our culture alive because of him. So, and we have our sashes here. Okay, this is the Louis Riel sash. I'll come a little closer. And the sashes were very unique to the Métis people. This one here was designed by the Europeans. Okay? And ladies, you always wear it across your heart, so that would mean on your left shoulder and crisscross it over here. Okay? And this style right here was the Métis. This pattern right here was very unique to the Métis people. Okay? Every community now, okay, has a very unique style of sashes. Okay, this used to represent your family years ago. So it was like a family crest. Even in the buffalo hunts, okay, when they were on the buffalo trail and they were hunting buffalo, and this is Buffalo Louis here, Louis Riel. He's on my wall. When they used to go hunting now, they used to hunt and hunt. And when they shot a buffalo now, that's how they knew which one was theirs. The Métis sash and the pattern in the sash represented your family. So I just wanted to mention that, you know, sharing cultural knowledge is very important, because it helps children and ourselves understand when you see somebody that laughs differently, walks differently, talks differently than you. It always comes from their grandmas and grandpas, those roots. And it helps people to accept whether you're brown or white. It helps everyone accept who they are. So that's why sharing culture is very important. The Métis cultural knowledge is helping the world understand who we are and our dances and stuff like that. So, good job. This is Dene style, okay? Now we're going to get into our belt and broom dance, just another little traditional dance. They used to have these, they called them the trapper dance more, when trappers were out in the bush. Métis people like my father did a lot of trapping, and they had nobody to dance with, so they would grab their broom and they would do all kinds of fancy steps, and they're trying to outdance each other. The sash dance is that I'm going to do, the combination of it. So here's a little treat for you and for me.
Okay, thank you. Well, if you noticed during that dance, when I was doing the broom dance, we had the infinity in it when I was going in off under the broom. So most of our dances have that infinity sign in our traditional dances. Another thing to talk about is where did I get my Métis history from? A lot of it comes from from our kitchen parties that we had years ago. And, you know, when people are talking and you go to visit them and they're telling you their stories about a long time ago, I've traveled for like 20 some years. I used to, when I live up in Fort Vermilion, but when I traveled I lived just about in every town. So I traveled and visited many elders and had tea with them and listened to their stories. And I'm really grateful for that. You know, can't say I just raised with because you have raised me. Just like when I was a baby, I take your stories and I listen and I learn from them and I share them. And I'm grateful to be coming to these communities to also to share that with you. And you know, when you're listening to these elders and their stories, and they're funny when they're telling their stories. So, and I'm very grateful to Phil and Maxine LaValle and a good friend of mine, Walter Quinn, up there in Lac La Biche, and all the rest of you in Lac La Biche. You really taught me a lot. And, you know, some people that are gone now, like Annie Crowell and one of my favorite ladies of all, and she tells me really funny stories, and I love visiting her, is Métis Rose. Thank you. I honor you all the time. So, and you know, when my stories are one day, I was like, I'll like to pass those on to the next generation. So that's our job. Is everybody, you know, you can get your history from the libraries of Louis Riel and those histories about our people, and they give us pride because they didn't die for nothing, right? That's the way I say. I don't want to make sure they didn't die in vain. So we'll keep that culture alive. So I'm going to dedicate this next song to all of you elders out there that encourage me and your communities. And you know what? I love you all. And here's a Orange Blossom special for you. I'm going on 60 now. Wink, wink. And we'll see if I can keep. I'm going to show you 9 changes, Métis style 9 changes, okay? Traditional steps. So here we go. Orange Blossom special. Let's see if I can get up now.
couple of old tunes here for you. Okay, but kitchen parties and people made each other laugh, so be ready for this one. So this is how you do the cookum jig. Kick 1, 2, 3. That's called the cookum jig. So this one's called the moshum jig. And this one's called with the fiddle player. And he's gonna get up and he's gonna jig for you. Kick a ball. That's a mushum jig for you. All right, so always, okay? Listen to your fiddler before you get up there and dance, because everybody plays differently, different territories, different sounds. So you got to know, is one sound or is two sound? Figure that out before you get out and dance. And always never give up. I say, you wanna succeed in this world, okay? Never give up, even with this COVID thing, okay? Everybody's just down in the blues, okay? We call it the COVID blues. Well, you know what? Music and dancing will chase those away for you, okay? So I first learned how to jig on my mom's knee. That's how we learned how to do the horsey ride when we're jigging. Vibration in your body, okay? You don't have to jump all over. It's a vibration that follows the music. When we speak of our languages, and it all depends on what area you're from, the jigging style can change. And over the years, I've learned many different styles. I'm now practicing a little bit of the Dene style, where they don't really have changes, but their feet go really, really fast. And it's fun, lots of fun. I like it because I am up from up in the northwest, close to the Northwest Territories, in a small town, Fort Vermilion, Alberta. And I'm from the family of Mac Lambert, who they had 19 children, and I was raised in Rocky Lane, Fort Vermilion, Alberta, and we had lots of dancing in that community and lots of two-stepping. We had lots of kitchen parties and danced all night long. It was a great way to grow up. My roots are very strong in my dancing and my culture, and I'm so proud of that. And I'm also proud of people that jigging is a very unique style in every community. And that's how they had competitions with these fancy steps, that each person that would get out will try and outdance each other. And it was fantastic. Back then, different dancers today, but you know what? We all change. Two sounds. That over and over again, high and low.
That's to honor your fiddler and to my roots, grandmas and grandpas, my mom and dad, cousins and brothers and sisters. Well, that's our crazy Métis culture. We like to dress up and entertain people and have fun. And at the end of the night, there was usually a maiden's prayer or a waltzing through the leaves, or grab their partner and be sad that the dance was over after 3 days. This one goes out to my friend Annie over there in Beaver First Nations. And we did this one time at a healing party, because music is healing. And here we go. I'm gonna grab Grandpa Narcisse Lizotte here, the Lizotte family. Howard was a very, very special fiddle player, and he taught me a lot of about music and dancing. And this goes out to the family, the children too. So this one here is Walter Quinn. He's a trapper, and he's playing Waltzing Through the Leaves. I'm gonna grab Grandpa. Here we go. Happy Aboriginal Day, everybody. Thank you very much. Kitchen party today, and God bless you, and never forget to celebrate who you are and be proud of it. And at the end of the night, we used to play this song, Say the Maiden's Prayer. Okay? So there's a little tune to end the evening off, and be proud of yourself. There you go. Grab your partner. And thank you, and see you later. Have a great Aboriginal Day. God bless you. God bless you.
Danse Hussein, how are you?
Good, Tansi, how you doing?
Pretty good. Thank you
Awesome.
for joining us here for our National Indigenous Day virtual celebration.
It's much appreciated. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. So I have a few questions for you. And my first one is, what's inspired you to make music?
Ooh, that's a great question. So much, I guess, starting off in my teens, I would say like early 2000s pop punk music and punk music. But I've always been into creating and stuff since I was a teenager. I've written songs, and so it's kind of been an evolving process, from writing songs for a band to playing folk music and country music on my own with my acoustic guitar, to now, producing beats to play at dance parties and on sound systems.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And what kind of music do you play, or do you make?
The music I play now is electronic bass music, I guess you could say. It's in the electronic realm. It's definitely music that's more rooted in like sound system culture. So like the Afro-Caribbean and Jamaican culture kind of mixed in. So a lot of like dance hall and reggae music, dub music, and contemporary bass music. So music that's like influenced by like hip hop and rap and stuff like that. But I make a lot of the beat driven music that you usually would find in those kind of contemporary sounds.
Okay, so what is your background? Are you Indigenous, or what is your background?
Yeah, so on my mother's side, I'm Anishinaabe Métis from Crane River, Manitoba. So yeah, that's on my mother's side, and then on my father's side, I'm North African and German. So yeah, I have my Métis status.
Wow, that's quite the mix.
Yeah, Heinz 57.
Yeah, I'm quite familiar with Heinz 57. If somebody was to look for your music, would they look under Hussein, or what would
Uh,
they look under?
My artist name is Handsome Tiger that I go by. Literally, if you are online, you can find all my websites under Handsome Tiger. You just pop that in Google search. Also have like a .com, handsometiger.com website as well. But yeah, my name is like super easy to search. If you just plug it into any search engine, all my music comes up on all the platforms, Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. So yeah, if you just type me in Google Handsome Tiger, you'll find me in there.
What inspired the name Handsome Tiger besides the fact that you're handsome?
Well, that's just it. Actually, no, it's kind of a cool story. It's the Arabic translation of my first and last name. So my name Hussein in Arabic, it translates to the handsome one, and yeah, and my last name El Namer is the Arabic translation for the tiger. And when I was a child, my dad would always make a joke like, don't ever let anyone get you down. Remember, you're a handsome tiger. And it was all something that kind of stuck with me. And then like when I started this particular project and making electronic music, and I, was done with my old bands and the names I had in the past, I was like kind of searching for I was like, oh, I need a name for this alias for this new project. I was like, wait, I don't really need a name. Like I already have, this Arabic translation of my name, which is awesome because it's a way to, incorporate my act.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So now our listeners and viewers will find that out. Do you incorporate Indigenous/Aboriginal music?
I do into my sounds. Yes,
Yes, into your sounds?
Yeah, I definitely do. It's something I experiment with a lot more over the last couple years as I've gained a little bit more access to samples and drumming from Indigenous singers. I've been also working towards collaborating with a lot more Indigenous artists from on the West Coast here down in BC. I recently just did a project for an artist called Tasimka. She's from the Nuth Duluth region in, I guess, Tofino area. And that was a really cool project to be a part of because it was a First Peoples grant that she got to do her album. Mm-hmm. And which was really fun for me to do. And like, it's great to collaborate with other Indigenous artists. Also recently, I got hit up by this Indigenous publishing company in Toronto called Nago. They receive funding from AP10 and also from the government as well. And what they do is they create it's a composer database where they collect music and sounds all from Indigenous producers and composers that they can go to this resource and source music or sounds from it that's all made from Indigenous artists. So I've just recently started working with them, which is pretty exciting. And through that process, I'm going to have a couple tracks that I'm publishing to them, which is really neat too. Has lots of traditional drumming and singing and just a cappellas. So it's stuff that I can kind of work with and mold it into my electronic music as well. So it's been a really fun process to kind of start working towards putting more of that culture into my music as well.
Wow, that is really awesome. Mm-hmm. How do you think the internet has impacted the musicians?
Like just recently with COVID or just in general,
yeah, like, before you could buy CDs and that kind of stuff. And then now with the internet, you need to buy them on iTunes or they get shared freely.
For sure. Yeah, things are a lot more, we've opened back more into an open file system for sure. I feel like obviously living through that age and watching that happen and change, like I remember, when me and my friends in Dawson were young and teenagers, we would all be excited to go to the CD store and get the newest CDs. So that's definitely interesting to see how that's changed in our lifetime. Mm-hmm. I would like to say that for the most part, I feel that it's definitely helped more independent artists be able to put their music out there with having a lower budget. So in my impact, I would definitely say it definitely helps, because now music to anywhere in the world, you know what I mean? It can be distributed everywhere throughout the internet. And I feel too, like there's always going to be, people that, love tradition, they want a vinyl or they want CDs, and that's cool. And that's always going to be like a sacred thing that will always be, a form of listening to music. But I think people are okay with things adapting, and especially myself, I feel like it has benefited me as an artist, because it's helped me to get my music out there in way different platforms, way different places than I ever really would have been able to before, versus just spending money on hard copy CDs and whatnot. So I definitely feel for the independent artist, it's definitely benefited. Maybe for the big major music labels, maybe not so much. Yeah, like just to say, like to generalize, like it's probably helped the mainstream industry, or sorry, the independent industry a lot more, and I'm grateful for that. But for obviously it's been tough for labels to adjust, but they're finding ways to do that now. So I definitely feel it's a better thing for the independent artist, maybe not so much for an established artist that relies on getting those actual physical sales.
So having said that, are you able to make a living?
I do. I make most of my living, though, to be honest, off of playing shows. Like the music that I sell, I usually sell enough music to basically float my project and buy other people's music to play, because I like to DJ as well. So it keeps me going enough that I can, like, all the music I collect each month and I want to buy for myself, the funds I get from people buying my music, I just kind of recycle right back into that. So it's kind of nice, like instant karma. But for the most part nowadays, as an independent artist and musician, you make most of your money playing gigs.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that you would like to say to the up and coming musicians that are blending like different music and different sounds, like you with your African and indigenous and hip hop and Jamaican?
Yeah, totally. I think just don't be afraid to experiment. And also, I think it's very important to always, first and foremost, look into the history of the art or the music that you're into or that you're playing or whatever, like really deeply research it. If you're curious about it and you're interested in it and you're advocating for it and you're playing it, I think it's very important to know the history of where a lot of this music comes from, as well. And I think that's a very important part to understand, the struggle or what have you that has got to that point, so that people can have that art and that music. I also would encourage, like, don't be afraid to look into yourself too, and your culture more as well too. I feel like for me, like, it's only really been this past, like, maybe 5-6 years of my life that I've really, like, let myself feel things and dive more into my culture than I ever have. And I'm really happy I have, because it's really just, like, impacted my life in so many ways, not just my art, you know what I mean? So I feel like if you want to pursue art and you want to pursue music and whatever, I think you just got to make sure you're just as plugged into the life that's going around you as well, because it's all going to influence your end goal and your product and what you're trying to make.
Thank you. That's really good advice. And thank you once again for being part of our celebration. And we're going to enjoy listening to your music. So thank you.
Grinch, thank you very much.
tunes, big checks, bigger racks, bro. Facts, bro, these is all facts. Who's this? Who's that? Whack, bro. Facts, bro, these is all facts. Men lie, women lie, stats don't. Facts, bro, really big facts. Yeah, damn it feel good to be an immigrant. When we order lunch, it's only chili shrimp. Mixing up a salad with the militant. Shooters on die, but they smile very innocent. Who that is? Who that is? Big Papa, foreign shit with the Timberlands, no product. With the hits, yeah, we with the hits, don't bother. Get the breads, with the dividends, inshallah. My shorty wrist whipping in some bangles. She in this bitch cutting up the mangoes. Cuban links feeling like a Castro. But only with the cash flow. Facts, bro. Facts, bro, these is all facts. Big tunes, big checks, bigger racks, bro. Facts, bro, these is all facts. Who's this? Who's that? You whack, bro. Facts, bro, these is all facts. Men lie, women lie, stats don't. Facts, bro, really big facts.
lifting it to be. Skin black and white, add a blowhole to my steez. Now I'm swimming, I am racing to a cave deep in the sea. My leggy friend Tisha appears to hear her thankfully. She'll close the gash on my fin so expertly. Switch elements by element, surprise technically. My shooter's got it coming, won't be expecting me. He'll be fishing, he'll be wishing, but he will not be catching a damn thing, cause I will come to see how tippy his boat and his human tasty.
that's a sad thing. Chilling in my pad and relaxing. Cool off, I'm talking facts, king. Mash it up now. One more time, selector. Mash it up now. One more time, selector. after the vision. Yeah, city's been watching, they know how I'm feeling. Yeah, I'm keeping it low, but I'm pretty high now. Yeah, I'm off on the road, I'm off of the vibe now. I've been on delay, no more holidays. She want all the fame, I won't hesitate. Y'all keep talking shit, keep it off of me. Came up from the pain, niggas watching me. No more time, I think I'm losing all control. Back and forth, these shadows keep me on the go. I'm lost in time, mama, show me what's the way. I think I'm high, but these demons keep me faded. Profit and flipping my pull up like the troops, yeah, we came from the roots. Confident crickets, I gotta go get it. Don't get it confused. Rockets and Rarries, they saying I'm bossy, the who's up for the youth. Gossip like y'all getting it twisted and better, I ain't gonna lose. Keeping my killers, I'm with all the sinners through jungles and times we will move. Word to my mama, I'm after the vision. Yeah, city's been watching, they know how I'm feeling. Yeah, I'm keeping it low, but I'm pretty high now. Yeah, I'm off on the road, I'm off of the vibe now. I've been on delay, no more holidays. She want all the fame, I won't hesitate. Y'all keep talking, keep it off of me. Came up from the pain, watching me. City needs to see me when before they come and play. Y'all been barking up that ghetto tree that echoes down the way. Telling if he crosses me, then that boy better pray. Rolling through the jungles with some kids to try.
She say boo, oh yes. Being humble, I'm all in the day like some shots with no chase. Pow, wow, ow, ow. West Coast step when I'm walking it down. Light skin itchy, that's your dizzy. I'm my mama's child. All eyes on me, they watching us now. Middle fingers up, I'm Tupacing it out. Long hair, don't care, boy, I do what I want. Got a party in the back, chief and council in the front. So spit game, shit, blah, blah, blah. You the lambs on with nah, nah, nah. Shine my blood in my veins, hey, y'all. Native tongue, but my name got so like they la wah. Spout it, I'm delicious. Them haters talking. I blow them kisses real deadly. When it all fall down, I can fall like confetti. My niche has been ready, let's blow up already. My goonies go stupid like Eddie and Eddie. I told him my nature, remember who said it. Snotty knows up to no good. I do what I want, what's good. My nature, I wish you would. Just a little engine that could. I was dead to the world for a minute. Then when I put it in my head, I'm living. Belinda, honey, listen. I'm just an icon living. Whoa, I'm growing, I'm building my head through the ceiling. Who wanna come with us? I'm one in a million. I'm one with the vision. Young man's on a mission. My brother that full of condemning a mission. We born in a system created for killing the vision. My killer's creator, we willing to kill with the shit. It's all part of the business of God. Created my witness. Real deadly. Keep it 100, jeopardy. Big braid in the Nah, they like, who the f is you? We them goonies, baby. Please let us through. Different walks of life, different set of rules. Different point of views, we ain't like you. Y'all the same, there was something new. I'm just saying, dog, you do you. Where they find you at? Whoa, Timbuktu. We the lost tribe. Who the f you? Don't judge a book by its cover, oh my. That's the story of my life. I'm draped in camo, just like my mohawk. Peep my warrior walk with Grandpappy's tomahawk. Patched up native tuxedo, the red crack Sager, rest in power. Oh my Gambino, childish behavior, red. That's 2 with T, tabs that by 3 painkiller. Holy, does my hood make you uncomfortable? Rather you than me. Oh geez, heart up my sleeve, trust the gut, Mercules, double fist and Hercules, lifting spirits, Hercules. All I can be is myself, can't be nobody else. Only creator can judge me, the rest themselves, boy. I hate to burst your little bubble, baby, but Halloween is the only time you wanna be me. Never lost like the far, best believe me, brother. Knock, knock, trick or treating, mother. Knock, 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 they like, who the f is you? We them goonies, baby, please let us through. Different walks
Hello, Andrea. Welcome to our first virtual National Indigenous Peoples Day celebration. We are so happy to have you.
Hello, and Panchi, Teresa. I'm so honored to be here with you virtually.
So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. The first one would be like, what advice would you have for someone wanting to follow in your footsteps? Because like you're a musician, you're an actress.
Well, that's a good question. First of all, when someone follows their heart, no matter what the world tells you, when you listen to the call of your spirit or the call of your heart, no one else can tell you what that is but you. When you follow it, it probably means that's the road you're meant to go down. You know, because your heart dictates what you're meant to do. And for me, it was acting and singing. So for me, I followed each impulse I got. And my advice to people who are interested in going into the arts is, you know, it can be an industry with a lot of challenges and a lot of rejection. So you have to be willing to take rejection. You got to get good with hearing a lot of no's, because when you go and finally get those yeses, it's worth it. But if you're going to follow in the arts, I would suggest that you get some training, because it's pretty competitive industry, and you can maybe have a good look, or you can maybe have a good voice, but if you can't necessarily get that message across or repeat your performance over and over again, like in a film or a TV or a theater, you got to get practiced, because there are people who can. So get some training, follow your heart, and don't let no's stop you.
Wow. So next time anybody says no to me, I'll say, no, that's not going to stop me. Yeah.
Sure.
So with all the acting and singing that you do, when you collaborate with others, what is the process?
Well, because I'm in so many fields, it varies. So, like for instance, when I'm writing a song with my favorite and longtime collaborator, Robert Walsh, who would be here, you know, playing, you know, we would have been there live, but you'll hear him through the speaker. But him and I have a really good relationship together. We commit everything. When we spend a few days together and just say we're writing as many songs as we can. So there's that. We're a great teamwork. And so sometimes building those relationships so you can have a collaboration relationship is worthy of building. But sometimes it takes a little bit of finessing and getting to know someone. But then there's the theater. If you're in a theater setting, collaborating with others is the whole point. You can't do a theater by yourself. You have a director, you have a set designer, you have a costume designer, you have other actors, you have the stage crew, you have the stage management. And so it's a full-on collaborative process. So there's that. And then a film and TV is that, again, nothing happens by yourself, and it's all about collaborating with others, because if the producer didn't go after the money, or if the writer didn't write the script, or the director didn't get together with the producer and the casting didn't get me involved, you know, it's incredibly collaborative, and it's a much bigger scale than theater. And so in these industries, in most industries, we have to learn how to collaborate with others. We have to learn how to recognize other people's contribution, because, you know, to some people watching the TV or watching the theater, it looks like just the actors are shining, but that is not the case at all. And if our egos get a little bit too big, then we probably need to be kicked off that pedestal. Because the work that other people put into getting work onto the stage or onto the screen or it is an enormous amount of collaborative effort. So it's worthy of noting that we should honor all the jobs involved. Musicians too. If you're on tour, it's not just the musicians, there's the stage crew, there's the venue, the host, the sales, the tickets, it's a big thing. You would know, Rita.
Yeah, I know. Very busy. Very, very busy.
Yeah.
What inspired you to get into acting and being a musician?
Well, I probably was inspired first by my father. My dad, I like to consider, is he's the king of the kitchen party. A lot of Métis people, we grew up singing around the kitchen table, right? I mean, a lot of families did, whether you were jigging or playing guitar or singing. And we were singing, and my dad played guitar, and so he inspired me because he wasn't someone who was background music. My dad was the star of the show. Like, people stopped and listened to my dad, and my mom harmonized, and I learned to harmonize with them. So I would say I was inspired by that. But when I moved out into the bigger stage, I started to be inspired by people like Maria Campbell, who was a writer and a director and a producer of different events. But she also never lost sight of bringing her community with her. So she says, I'm here to uplift my community and bring them forward with me, with my success. And that really inspired me. And I didn't know how, because as a young artist, you just don't, you're just surviving for yourself. You don't quite know how to navigate it all. So watching someone do it for others was a real inspiration. And then Tom Jackson was a big influence for doing things for others. And that started to become my mantra of wanting to do this for others. If I'm doing it for me, then I'm in it for the wrong reasons, and it's all about my ego, and I quit. I'm not interested.
Well, Maria Campbell was a lady that wrote Half Breed, right?
You bet.
Yeah. Okay, so one last question. How do you think the internet has impacted the music industry?
Holy smokes, that's a biggie.
I know, eh? I want to keep you here for a long time.
Oh. Yeah, or just, oh, wow. It has significantly impacted the music industry. I personally can attest to the fact that my last CD that I was recording in 2013 and released in 2014, it's like I did it all the old way. I did it in the old process that I used for my earlier 3 CDs. But in 2014, it's like that was the year everything CDs went goodbye. And it's like I was so busy doing the old way that I wasn't paying attention to how things were shifting. I knew they were shifting, but I didn't realize that they were shifting overnight. And I watched the CD sale, or the lack of CD sales, and the people saying, I don't have a CD player anymore. My car doesn't have a CD player. My computer doesn't have a CD player anymore. It just overnight, all of a sudden, everything shifted. So me personally recognizing my last CD release was not a release like my other ones. And, I think people can attest to the idea that during COVID, for instance, here we are having to do everything virtually. It's like overnight, we had to adjust to a new way of being. Well, that is exactly what happened in the music industry, is that all of a sudden, ways of making money, that was a significant way that I could support myself, was selling a CD to somebody to say, here is something concrete I can sell to you. You can pay me, and we have a reciprocity experience. We are doing an exchange of value. And now all of a sudden, the artist is taken out of that in many ways through these streaming. And the amount of money that comes to the artist is so insignificant, is so small. It's not something that you can make a living on. And so artists have really, really, really struggled with ways of supporting themselves. And of course, now during this time of not touring or having gigs, which is the main source of income, musicians have really struggled. So the internet has made it very easy for many people, for the listener, but very, very difficult for the musician. And of course, copyright is that if somebody gets a hold of your song and shares it with people that are not on your friend list, all of a sudden nobody needs to buy your music because they got it for free. And it still costs the same amount of money to record it. So it costs for me, you know, some people do it electronically, but I use live musicians and I pay my live musicians. And so I've never spent less than $30,000 on a CD or on an album.
Wow.
And when you don't recoup that money, when you don't get that back, all of a sudden, why am I making music? Why am I going to do this the old way? So it's been a real shift. It's been a struggle. It is how do musicians who, you know, during this COVID time, who did people turn to stay sane? The artists. They turn to music, they turn to Netflix, they turn to TV, they turn to YouTube, they turn to artists for solace. But how many of those artists got paid for what those people, that all of the people that went to? How many of the artists got paid? Not many.
Yeah.
Not many, because of the way that the internet has just sort of flatlined the industry. Flatline, not even just the industry, flatlined the ability for the musician to get paid. And we don't know, we're still working on a way how to make that happen. How for musicians to be honored, because they don't have the same systems of benefits and sustenance that other people have. Oops, I better plug my computer in. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. That is a huge, huge impact for sure. Thank you for sharing that. I had mentioned a little while ago that you were also a TV actress. What were you on?
I have been on Blackstone and Moccasin Flats and Rabbit Fall. These are all APTN big shows. Hard Rock Medical. I've been on a new one recently, which is the makers of Blackstone Tribal, which is a brand new series that came out this season. I have a smaller part in that. I'm on the animated show that was on APTN for many, many seasons, Wapus Bay. Yeah, that's a good one. And am I missing any? Those are sort of, I've been on a few mainstream like Supernatural and Arctic Air and Motive and a few of those too. But my main, where I was one of the main characters were the ones I mentioned.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me about our National Indigenous Virtual Day. Thank you. And I wish you the best of luck, and I'll buy your CD. Actually, I don't have to. You gave them all to me.
I did. Yeah. Teresa, thank you for, your team for creating a venue for artists to be able to perform, even though we can't be live. I really, really appreciate you and your audience for supporting us and for allowing us to share our music with you, even if it sounds funny or looks funny or, it's recorded weird. We're working it out. So I appreciate you sharing this space for us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye,
Have a great day.
You too.
Hello and Tanchi, everyone. My name is Andrea Menard. Andrea Menard, Dishnikashon. Carry the name Shkotekwe, which means firewoman, and Anishinaabe, and I am a proud Métis woman from Treaty 5 territory. I am here on Musqueam First Nation, which is in the unceded Coast Salish territories of Vancouver. So I am here in this beautiful, look at that beautiful view. And with the birds, the hummingbirds, and the bees, and the flowers. I feel really blessed to be celebrating this Indigenous Peoples History Month and Indigenous Day with you. In Dawson Creek, I know we can't be together, but the next best thing, video. We're all learning to adapt during this time of isolation, and as much as I hate being far from my people and gigging from a video and Zoom, I'm still honored that I get a chance to sing for you and perform for you today. Now, my guitarist, Robert Walsh, who I wrote most of these songs with, is not able to join me today. He's in Edmonton and he's far away, and we have not played together in a very long time. So he's going to be through some speakers. I hope you can hear. I'm going to be trying my best. So I have a drum and I have a rattle, but I'm going to try to get some
music through the speakers. And if it sounds okay, it sounds okay. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. Okay, so we'll try with a drum song. This song is called Four Directions Prayer, which I wrote during a time, well, every time I was in a sacred space, like in a forest or in the ocean or a lake by myself, I would hear this melody come and just come. And then when I would leave that sacred space, I would never remember what the song was. But this song came back when we were recording my fourth album, Lift. So this is a very special song to me because it always reminds me of so many sacred places, and it's called Four Directions Prayer. It must be a time when I was always talking to my ancestors and calling them in and starting off of my day or that event in a good way. So here is Four Directions Prayer. Yahweh, hey, hi, ya, hi. Yo, hey, hey, hi, yo, hi. Way, hey, hey. Yo, hey, hey, hi, yo, hi. Yo, hey, hey, hi, yo, hi. Yo, hey, hey, hi, yo, hi. Started us off in a good way, huh? Hey everyone, so my next song is called Enough Room, and it's from my second album, Simple Steps, that I wrote with Robert Walsh. Miss you, Robert. So I'm going to be singing it to track, but I chose this song because in light of all of the stuff going on these days, these months, like our separation from each other and all of the violence and riots and racism we've been encountering online, I just think it's
an interesting concept that, you know, you don't see animals and the natural world collide with each other like humans do. So why is it that we do? This is a song called Enough Room. It's all about, you know, why can't we just manage the space we're in? So here we go. So you can hear that? I'm a little prairie girl from the land of great big sky, and I'm drowning in a sea of open fields. With all this space, I still need more space. Yeah, I need my space. I'm stuck here on the ground. Too many people around. You never see birds collide. So why do we look at the grace in their flight? So why can't we be sure of our wingspan? Is there enough room down here? Enough room to let our dreams out? I'm a big city girl in a tower made of glass, and I've climbed about as high as I can climb. Almost at the top, but I can't stop. I just can't stop. I need some air. There's gotta be more up there. You never see birds collide. So why do we look at the grace in their flight? So why can't we be sure of our wingspan? Is there enough room down here? Enough room to let our dreams out? Wouldn't it be so much fun to ride around in unison? So why can't we? Why can't we? You never see birds collide. So why do we look at the grace in their flight? So why can't we be sure of our wingspan? Is there enough room down here? Enough room to let our dreams out? Is there enough room down here? Enough room to let our dreams out? Thank you. I'm assuming you're all clapping really loud from the comfort of your home. I'm just going to remember what that feels like. So this next song is from my first album called The Velvet Devil, or from The Velvet Devil, my first album, called Oh Mama. And for those of you who are familiar with those first tunes that I wrote way back when as the music from my one-woman show, written all with Robert Walsh. These songs were a plea to that mother, that sacred mother that is all around us, that mother that guides us from sometimes this realm, that grandmotherly wisdom that
guides us from this realm or from the spirit realm. And this was one of those songs that I was wanting to be closer to that connection. So, you know, when things go wrong and when you lose someone and you just want to share that with a nurturing, loving being. And sometimes Mother Earth is that being. Sometimes it's our own mother. Sometimes it's a grandmother or a friend. So this is called Oh Mama.
Can you hear me? Can I lay my burden down? Oh, Mama, please be with me while I lay my burden down. If you can hear me, please tell me what to do. 'Cause oh, Mama, I need some answers. I need someone to tell my troubles to. I need someone to tell my troubles to. I need someone to carry me through. Need someone to tell my troubles to. Oh dear, oh Mama, I need you. Oh Mama, if you can hear me, please tell me when I'm doing wrong. 'Cause oh, Mama, I need some answers. I need someone to hear my troubled song. I need someone to hear my troubled song. Oh, Mama, Mama, yeah, yeah, my troubled song, my troubled song. Oh, Mama, oh, Mama, yeah, yeah. Whew. Thank you. I hope you're clapping. All right, I'm in the mood for love, obviously, so I'm singing another song about that beautiful love. Like this is like a song about healthy love. You know, not that dysfunctional, messed up love that most of us know and grew up with. So this is a song called Noonday Sun, and it's about rising up to be our best self because we're inspired by other people who are like that. So this is called Noonday Sun. You're like the noonday sun 'cause you shine your light on everyone. And like a sunflower we reach to the sky for your solar power. It feels so good when I'm around you.
you. I gotta leave space for applause. I can't believe I do that. It's so natural. Is it conceited or just part of the routine? Anyway, I have another song for you, and this one is a rattle song. This is a rattle song that I wrote for a friend, but the song had been coming to me for a while. But my friend encouraged me to get the translation and to pick the subject of what it was. So this song is called Kimi Ututin, which means I respect you. And it's a love song. It's a Cree Michif love song in the dialect from the Treaty 6 territory. I'm like, where is this from? It's from Edmonton area, St. Paul des Métis area. And the song is a love song that says, I honor you. You walk with me. I walk with you. I respect you. I respect you. So it's a simple song, easy to sing, and I hope that you can hear harmonies, and I hope you can hear people singing, and I hope you'll sing with me. It's called Kimi Ututen. Kikichi te mitin ni pimoten orakia. Timoteo aviknia kimi ututin, kimi ututin. Weya, 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 yo hey. Weya, 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 yo hey, yo. Weya, yo hey, yo. Kikiti temitin lipimoten orakia Timoteo aviknia kimi ututin weya 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 yo hey weya weya we hi yo he hi yo we hi yo he hi yo kikiti temitin lipimoten orakia Timoteo aviknia kimi ututin weya 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 yo hey weya weya we hi yo he hi yo we hi yo he hi yo kikiti temitin lipimoten orakia Timoteo aviknia kimi ututin weya 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 yo hey weya weya we hi yo he hi yo we hi yo he hi yo we hi yo he hi yo we hi yo he hi yo. Thank you. When the voyageurs first came, ils n'attendaient pas d'être pères. Avant nous nichant sur une vieille terre, ils travaillaient si fort, ils étaient si fiers of their newfound families, dont jouisseurs
tous est frère. Look in these Métis eyes, hold these Métis hands. We're all held together by love, by this land. We are family. We're all family. When the winds of change were upon them, the ladies braced the wind. They opened up their hearts and homes and took those strangers in. Ils prévoyaient l'avenir. They saw their babies' eyes, burnt wood faces under prairie skies. Look in these Métis eyes, hold these Métis hands. We're all held together by love, by this land. We are family. We're all family. Écoutez, mes enfants, l'histoire vous appartient. C'est écrit dans les ceintures fléchies, c'est écrit dans vos mains. Children, listen, the future's in your hands. Weave together our story, strand by strand. Look in these Métis eyes, hold these Métis hands. We're all held together by love, by this land. We are family. We're all family. Nous sommes famille.
So thank you so much for having me for this beautiful Indigenous gathering day. Dawson Creek, I wish I was with you in person. Thank you for being a great audience. I hope. And thank you to my friend Teresa for inviting me to perform. And I know that there's other great performers for this great day. I know that you'll have a chance someday in the future for us to do this in person. So enjoy your day. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Do your best at taking care of yourselves and taking care of your loved ones. And we'll see you next time. I love you.
Don Sedalis, welcome to our virtual Indigenous People Day celebration here at KPAC. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and thanks for asking, and I hope you're doing good too.
Oh, I'm doing really awesome, and I'm truly grateful that you have decided to do this project with us. I think it's really awesome to have your participation.
Yes, it's a great honor too, and you know, I love every opportunity that I get, and every opportunity I get, I treat the same. You know, whether it's in front of a large audience or a small, intimate audience, I treat them all the same, and I appreciate the work that you guys do as well.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you, because a lot of people don't know. Like what do you call the dance that you do, and when and where did you learn this type of dance?
The dance I do is called the hoop dance, and it's the indigenous style hoop dance specifically, and there's a difference between hula hooping and hoop dance. Hula hooping is more of a pop kind of art that it's like a subculture from pop culture, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for hula hoopers and what they do as well, because they are very skilled at what they do. However, it's not the same as Indigenous style hoop dancing. Our Indigenous style hoop dancing came from a ceremony. It came from a ceremonial origin place in which it was originally a ceremonial type dance in which it was only done in a ceremony type of setting. However, through time and evolution, the Indigenous style hoop dance developed into the art and dance form that it is today, which can be seen on the world stage all over North America. And actually it's featured on the Circus du Soleil, in specifically the Totem Show. A couple of my friends actually dance in that show, and they perform all over the world. And it's also featured in Nelly Furtado's music video, Big Hoops. So it's been, the hoop dance, Indigenous style hoop dancing's nothing new to the world, and it's actually new to some, but it's actually very unique in how it expresses and explores our cultural imagery and telling stories with the hoops and making shapes with the hoops. And that's the difference between hula hooping and hoop dancing. So Indigenous style hoop dancing, we obviously dance to a powwow beat, more of a traditional style singing beat, like where you can tell it's Indigenous, by the drum beat and the music and everything like that. And dancers dance with anywhere from 5 to 25, even 30 hoops at once. And our style of hoop dancing is definitely still connected to the culture, regardless of it's an art form and a dance that it is today. It still has those cultural components and those ceremonial components, because all dancing in Indigenous style is about healing. It's about self-healing, community healing, and Mother Earth healing as well. Like every time when we dance, we always think about dancing for healing for Mother Earth, because basically the philosophy behind our dance is we're dancing to the heartbeat drum, which is the heartbeat of Mother Earth, and everything about the drum is organic, and the songs they represent for the ancestors, and they've been passed on from many, many generations. And for myself and how I got into hoop dancing, it was actually an accidental discovery, and I guess it's what the universe intended for me at the time. And at the time when I got into hoop dancing, I was about 14 years old. And when I got into hoop dancing, I was at a rough place in my life. I was on the brink of being incarcerated. I was breaking the law, getting in trouble, and I was very troubled in my youth, in my younger years. And I remember getting out of jail, and actually that's when I started to walk a new path in life. And I thought that being incarcerated is not very fun, and I thought about all the things I could do when I was incarcerated in juvenile jail, the EYOC, the Edmonton Young Offender Center to be specific. And hoop dancing actually changed my life. It changed everything in my life, and it actually saved my life in a lot of ways, and it still does in a lot of ways to this very day. Looking back almost 30 years now, I've been doing the hoop dance, and there's always something that I'm learning new off of it. And how I accidentally discovered hoop dancing was I was going to a school in Edmonton, all-native school called Ben Cathrobe. And Ben Cathrobe School, I was actually in school with a friend of mine by the name of Joe Chatsis, and I realized one day that he was a hoop dancer because he had a big pile of hoops in his living room. And when I first picked one up, I was like, "What's these for? Hula hooping?" And I tried to do the hula hoop, and I automatically failed. and it was kind of funny because I was making fun of the hoop dance, and then he's like, "Give me those hoops, I'll show you what to do with them." So he grab 5 hoops and he showed me a move, and I was wowed by that. For me, at that time in my life, that was the new magic trick, and I was always fascinated by magic. And to me, that was magic. That was like, you know, just putting those hoops together and making shapes and turning them into different shapes and shape-shifting back and forth from movement. You can be a bird, an eagle, you could be a butterfly, and then you can transform it into a globe, a world, a sphere, whatever you want to call it. And that was the fascination that sort of hooked me into the hoop dancing. And then from there, I secretly practiced with my good old friend Joe Chatzis's hoops. And after Joe and I kind of parted ways eventually, because that's how friends are. You know, we just kind of, you know, go our own ways in life. I later took it upon myself to start hoop dancing. And I remember being poor and growing up in a poor neighborhood, and I didn't have resources like kids today. They have way more resources, and that's a same old story from generation to generation. Like, you know, like all the old people always say, "Oh, you kids have it easy compared to what we had it." You know, like I always heard that story when I was a kid, and now I'm the one saying that story too. So, anyways. Basically, when I started, I didn't have any resources to go off of. I didn't have all this technology that we have today. And when I first started, I didn't even have money to make hoops. I just found an old garden hose, chopped it up, and made hoops out of garden hoses. And I got laughed at a little bit, but I didn't care. I was doing it because I loved to do it, and I had fun doing it. And some of my very first performances were with my garden hose hoops, and then later on I found material to make better hoops, and you know, it's just been an ongoing evolution ever since then. So if that answers your question, hopefully I wasn't too long-winded about it, and that's basically what the hoop dance is and how I got into it.
No, you weren't long-winded about it at all. And I understand about the teachers, because I remember when I wanted to drum and I went and offered tobacco and asked the creator to send me somebody to teach me how to drum if I was meant to drum. And lo and behold, he sent this lady. Her name was Jocelyn Elnamer. And she spent a year with me teaching me, and then when she was done teaching, she left too, right? So yeah, definitely understand that part. So where are you from, Dallas?
I'm from Alexander First Nations. Well, I was born in Edmonton. I was actually born at, you know, even though I'm a half-breed, some people think I'm white because I have green colored eyes, and you know, if I'm not wearing my outfit and I'm in everyday clothes, it's hard to tell that I'm Indigenous, but I am, and that's the only identity I ever associated with for most of my life until when I got old enough to realize that, hey, I'm more than just Native here. No wonder why these guys are calling me Little Munyao. They call me Little White. So I used to get mad at that actually when I was younger, and I never used to like that, and I always just tried to fit in with my Native cousins and my Native friends, and you know, that's where I grew up and stuff. So I was actually born in a Native hospital called the Charles Campbell in Edmonton, and that's where I was born, and I was basically raised out of Edmonton, back and forth from Edmonton to Alexander First Nation, in which I have a lot of family out here. And this is where I live today, actually. It was actually a dream of mine, or actually it was a goal of mine, not a dream, but it was more or less a goal for me to take this journey around the world and eventually come back home and immerse myself back in my community and live back in my community, amongst my community, and just still do what I do. And I had to leave this place in order to make something of myself first, and I didn't know that. In hindsight, I didn't really know that. But I really, that's what the elders told me I had to do, and they told me I had to go get an education and go make something of myself. And you know, a lot of times when I was younger, I just hung around the sweat and I hung around the res, and I'd learned things, and you know, it helped me along my journey.
Awesome.
But also, you're not only a dancer, you're also a musician. You have a CD out called Crazy Creek. I know that because you gave me one. Can you tell me what inspired you to get into the music industry?
I've always been into music ever since I was really young, and a lot of people don't know this about me, but I was actually a singer before I was a dancer, and that's how I learned a lot about the culture. Just sitting at the drum with my older cousin Ryan Arcand. He was one that kind of pushed me and introduced me to the culture, and he really took me under his wing, and I'm really grateful to this day, even though like I went a lot further than he did in this whole culture and business, and you know, I took it to a whole new level, and you know, from where we started. And I remember when I was just starting out, you know, like that's how I learned. And a lot of my uncles, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, because there's a lot of Indigenous families who have family members that play music and stuff like that, and that was always something very fascinating to me. Like that's what I love about our culture. It's very musical. Like every ceremony you go to, there's always songs, there's always people singing in a traditional way. And then, you know, where I grew up in Alexander, the Métis culture is actually really heavily influenced here, because they have a lot of the older crowd and a lot of the younger crowd. They're into music. Like they're into fiddle music, they're into jigging, they're into all kinds of stuff like that, country music. There's a lot of very talented people in our communities that share their talents, and I was just inspired by that. And I've always been a music lover ever since I was a young age, and music's kind of my peace. It's my happy place. I have to always have music on all day somewhere. I gotta have a radio playing. I got my guitars. I got all kinds of musical instruments. But the music career started for me. I did a little bit when I was younger. I got into the rapping stuff, like hip hop stuff, and then as I got older, I got into the singing stuff, more singing and playing with the guitar and producing music. My very first CDs were flute music. I got into flute playing the native style flute. And I actually have 4 flute CDs as well, besides the Crazy Cree. Well, when I did my first album, it was actually a hip hop album, and I titled it, like, I went under the artist name Crazy Cree, and that name actually came from my mushum, my grandfather. A long time ago, he gave me a name, and when I was younger, because I was always getting in trouble and stuff, so he said to my mom, he called me Kipats Nehu, which means a crazy little Indian. So so I honored that name, and I respect that teaching, you know, because that was a little bit of a teaching, and him giving me that name and just making me realize that, you know, the path I was on wasn't so good, and then once I realized that, you know, I could do better in my life, and I use those as my tools later on in life, and that's what inspired a lot of the music. So a lot of the music I make is inspired by life stories and experiences that I've had, and teachings that I found that have helped me along the way.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Before we sign off, do you have any advice for the young ones that are coming up about culture?
Well, the young ones that are coming up, you know, like about culture, it's just important to know your culture and know your history, because it'll help you in pursuing your future. And history is really important because that's part of our identity. You know, I'm a big history buff. I took a lot of history classes in school and university, and they taught me a lot about things that I didn't understand. You know, it helps you understand the way things are, and in order to understand, you got to do the research and knowing, and it helps you grow that much more. So my advice to the young ones coming up is just to know that, research that, understand that, and never be afraid to ask questions or do research, and you put in the work, and you get what you put into it.
Mhm.
You know, life is all about you get what you put into it, and nothing's ever gonna fall into your lap. If you want something, you go get it. It's just like berries, right? If you want berries, you got to go pick them yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same with knowledge and everything, with dreams, goals, passions, and everything in life. If you want something bad enough, you'll go get it. You have to have a compelling enough reason to do so. And understanding your identity is important, and that's just who you are. And always be proud of that. You know, like when you're proud of who you are, that beauty. You can't make up that kind of beauty. You can put on all the makeup in the world, but nothing beats genuine, authentic beauty of just being in your true essence. So I guess that would be my advice to younger people. Just love yourself and love everybody around you too, and the world will love you back.
Thank you, Dallas. That is great advice. And once again, I thank you for participating in our celebration. Kinanaskumtin.
Hi, Kenanas Kumpton, and thank you very much as well, and everybody else. I thank you as well, and thanks for tuning in as always, and I'm always grateful every day.
Hey. Okay. Bye, Dallas.
Okay, take care.
You too.
Hello, Tanse, good day, bonjour, everything like that. It's a beautiful day, and I'd like to welcome you all to Alexander First Nation. My name is Dallas Arcand. I'm a 3-time world champion hoop dancer, and this is our beautiful arbor of the Alexander First Nation. As you can see, I did my own little grass dance, and I'd like to welcome you all to Alexander First Nation, and come join us anytime at our powwow. And as you can see, this beautiful landscape here, and it's our this is where we have our annual powwow every year. So I decided to do my performance for this year's festival right here at our powwow arbor. I figure I make it a special event day for such a special occasion to share the beautiful culture and the beautiful land. This is a beautiful landscape here. I thought I would share. And look at, we have one spectator over there. And then we also have, because of the social distancing, we got one spirit chair. We have one grandfather, one grandmother sitting there, and that chair's been here, and I think they wait for the powwow all year round. It's such a good powwow. So welcome to our lands, and now I'd like to start out today's show for today, that I'm going to perform some of my music and some of my dancing. And it's a little funny doing it without an audience, but you know, either way, I still love to share. And you know, I guess you guys are there, and you will see this. So I just want to say thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for all the people down in Dawson Creek for setting this up, all the organizers, and all the people too that have put this together. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I hope everybody's safe out there wherever you're at. And I just like to share this beautiful moment with you. So without further ado, here we go. All right, even got a little bit fancy here with our sound system. All right, to all you mosquitoes out there, I play this honor song for you. And there's lots of mosquitoes out there. That's my big audience. So all my mosquitoes, thank you so much for coming to my show today. Awesome. I love you guys too. Right on. Okay, so the first song that I would like to share is an honor song with my flute. Get a little closer here and show you, this is one of our traditional instruments. Some people call this the native flute, or the traditional love flute. And This is one of our many instruments that we use in our native way, our native culture. And the flute, this one actually is a double barrel flute. And I want to play an honor song today to honor this beautiful land. I call this the Mother Earth song. And the Mother Earth song is a really important song. Like every time we always start out a ceremony, like for example, if the powwow was going to start today, we would actually start out with an honor song. And the grass dancers would go and push down the grass and bless the ground. And you know that the elders always say their prayers and honor and respect of the land and everything around us. So without further ado, I'm going to play the Mother Earth song with the flute. And this is a special flute. This is actually a double barrel ironwood flute. And it's very special to me. So I hope you enjoy the performance, today's performance. Again, I'm Dallas Arcand, and here we go. All right, thank you so much. And thank you, all the mosquitoes and all Mother Nature. And that's the song of nature. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to get into some hoop dancing. And I just need my hoops over there, so go gadget hoops, eh? So anyways, the first dance that I'm going to do for you today is actually just a one hoop dance. I sort of call it like an icebreaker type of dance. And you know, this particular version of the hoop dance is basically just like an honor dance to honor, and as well I'm just dancing with one hoop to show the infinite possibilities to go through the circle, because originally the hoop dance was a healing dance, and I always like to pay tribute and honor that special healing dance that the hoop dance was originally intended for. So that's why when I dance with one hoop, I always think of that style. I always think about those infinite connections to the circle and the world around us, and everything is always in the circle. Even this arbor that we're in today, it's in the shape of a circle. So I thought I would share that with you as well. And this style of dance I'm going to be doing is more of a grass dance style. So I'm going to make myself some room here, And today, actually, you know, since we didn't have grass dancers to push down the grass, and we don't have a whole bunch of power dancers to push down this grass, I actually had to come down here myself and figure out how to push down this grass. So luckily I had my truck here, and I just went around the arbor and pushed down the grass, just like a grass dancer would. But now you get to see me for real, pushing down the grass with my dancing. And you'll see the grass dance style if you're familiar with the grass dance. The grass dance is also a healing dance, and it's a very important dance that we do on the powwow trail. And so this first dance will be all about that connection and honoring that. And I'll be dancing to the sounds of the Northern Cree singers. And the Northern Cree singers are also from Alberta. So without further ado, here's the first dance with one hoop, the infinite hoop dance. Okay. All right, that was the first dance. All right, well, that was the first dance. And just a little side note that it is pretty difficult to dance, hoop dance in deep grass, especially the style that we do nowadays with hoop dancing. So I just thought I would share that, and especially when the grass is a little bit more wet. A lot of times when we do hoop dance, we don't really have to deal with the deep grass, and I just thought I would share that with you and what it's like to be a hoop dancer. And I've performed at many powwows over the years, and usually by the time I get out there on the dance floor, the grass is already pushed down by 500 dancers dancing all day and all night, flattening down the grass. And you know, that's where we really appreciate those other dancers that we use on the powwow trail. As for myself, I'm actually a fancy dancer, and that's one of the dances I do in the powwow trail. Gotta have some water. So this next dance I'm going to do is more of a, I'm going to add a few more hoops. I'm going to add 3 hoops to be exact, and I'm going to do it in the style of the chicken dancer style. And if you're familiar with chicken dancing, it's actually originally a healing dance that comes from Alberta originally, and it's a very popular dance on the powwow trail. It's so popular now that it has its own category. And the chicken dance category, you can see all ages and all the way from tiny tots to golden age chicken dancers. And there's teen chicken dance category. There's junior adult, which is, well, it's always a men's dance. So it's the junior adults and then the senior adults, and then they have the golden age. And everybody has their own style of doing chicken dance. And what it is basically they're imitating a prairie chicken. And if you know about the prairie chickens or the bush chickens, basically what they do is they do a mating dance every year. And a lot of times if you're walking around and you hear a mysterious sound on the ground, like, and you're like, what the hell is that? And then when you finally find out that, oh, it's the chickens, they're doing their mating dance. And a lot of times if you watch that style on the powwow trail, or you see that style, you'll see them actually imitating those moves, those same sort of movements. And there's a story to how that dance came to be. However, I just do my own version of the chicken dance and honor that healing dance, because the hoop dance is a healing dance. So that's where I connect the two and kind of do my own style, my own version of it. And I do 3 hoops with it. So without further ado, here we go. Here's chicken dance style. Old style double beat. All right. That was the style of the chicken dance style, and that was just the 3 hoops. And as you can see, I was dancing around, basically doing the same style of dancing and movements as the chicken dance. Now the next style of dance that I want to share with you is called a shake song. And the shake song is used in different ways when we dance powwows. The shake song is actually used in different forms. Like for example, if it's a fancy dance, they call it the fancy dance ruffle, and where you see some really high intense dancing and shaking of the feathers. As well, when they do it in the men's traditional dance category, they call it the sneak up, because basically they're telling a story in the dance and how they sneak up on their enemies and count coup. And that's one of our traditional practices from way back in the day. And so a lot of times you'll see these stories come to life in the dancing, and the dancings, they all got stories to the dances that you see in powwow and hoop dance. Every hoop dancer tells their own story about our interconnectedness to the earth and the world around us. So this next dance, I'll be doing a variety of 3 different styles within the dance, including hoop dance, including all the movements of the hoop dance, as well as I'll be doing different styles with the hoop dance, like the traditional style. I'll be doing some sneak up moves, as well I'll be doing some fancy dance kind of moves. And just use your imagination, because as I go through the movements, you'll see the different movements to the shake song and the ruffle song. And basically it's all part of the song and the hoop dancing itself. And I'll also be adding 3 more hoops to make it a total of 6 hoops to complete this shake style song. So here we go. Without further ado, here's a shake song by the Northern Cree Singers. right. That was the sneak up, the ruffle, the shake, everything all into one. And it's always a story of how you overcome your challenges. And one of the biggest challenges I got today is dancing in this deep, wet grass and, you know, dealing with the mosquitoes. I think it's gonna rain, so I'm trying not to do the rain dance here. And it's okay. It's perfect though. It's a perfect day, and I always enjoy every day being out on the land. And you know, to be honest with you, it's been a while since I danced, and because of this COVID-19, I haven't really been doing much performances other than the online videos. And I do a class every morning actually on my Dallas Arcand Facebook page, and you're all welcome to join me as I do a fitness program called Powwow Dance Aerobics, in which I do a class every morning. And it basically takes about a half an hour to 60 minutes of dancing and exercising. And it's a good alternative to exercising, especially in these times of self-isolation in a global pandemic. And you know, even if we're not in a pandemic and a lot of people are isolated in different communities and they don't have the exercise facilities, the beauty about doing powwow dance aerobics is that you can do it in your living room and do it at your own comfort level. And so if you would like to join me, I'm on every morning at 7:30 in the morning, and I've had a really great success with that this year. So I'm gonna keep dancing because the mosquitoes, I think they're out to eat me. I think they like me so much out here, they're just gonna eat me. And elder once told me, this one elder, I remember at a powwow, I was swatting away the mosquitoes, and I was like, geez, I wish these mosquitoes would just go away. And he's like, oh, don't worry there, young guy. The mosquitoes like you because you got good blood. That's how you know you got good blood, when the mosquitoes come for you. And if the mosquitoes don't bother you, well, that means your blood's not that good. So I guess I got good blood. They always want to munch on me. I've had a few, probably about 10 bites during this whole performance. Even while I was getting dressed for this, the mosquitoes were attacking me. Luckily, I've had some help today, so thank you so much. All right, so I'm gonna continue on. I'm gonna do one last dance, and this one's to one of my very own songs from my DJ Crazy Cree CD. I also have a DJ Crazy Cree Facebook page if you want to check it out. That's DJ KRAYZKREE. As well, I'm on Instagram. I have two Instagram accounts. One is DJ Crazy Cree, that's DJ KRAYZKREE. As well, you can follow me on Instagram for my hoop dancing stuff as well. I'm on there as 3X World Champion Hoop Dancer. So please follow and support there as well. And if you'd like to check out more powwow stuff, check out the Social Distance Powwow. I'm a member as well, and it's free to join. And if you'd like to share your videos there, check them out. I've shared a few there as well too. So without further ado, I'm going to dance to one last song, and this song is actually a song of my own that I did with my cousin, as my cousin Stan Arcand Jr. He's a fluent speaker in the Cree language, and he came to me one day with this one song, and he shared the traditional version of it, and I recorded him, and I said, can I make this into a dance song? And he agreed, and we made it, and we put it on the album. And actually the DJ Crazy Cree album is called Future Generations, and it's actually it actually won the best electronic dance album at the Indigenous Music Awards, I think a year ago or so, and it's been doing great. The song's been on the radio, and it's just awesome to share that. And the word akimemo actually means to persevere. So for this last dance, I'm going to dance with a total of 13 hoops. And the reason why I dance with 13 hoops is basically to honor the 13 moons that circulate around the earth every year. And like I said before, everything that we do as Indigenous people, it's always connected to the earth, it's always connected to the land, it's connected to the spirit, it's connected to our ancestors, and there's lots of interconnectedness there. And that's why it makes a lot of sense when you see it come to life in the hoop dance, when you see that eagle come to life, when you see that bear come to life, or that butterfly, or all the beautiful shapes that come to life while I'm doing the hoop dance, and any hoop dancer for that matter. And I just wanted to share that with you and a little bit of background on the hoop dancing. So without further ado, here we go. Here's to the song Akamemo from my album DJ Crazy Cree, Future Generations. Yeah, so much. Thanks to all for having me perform for this year's festival. I wish I could totally be there in person, because our culture is something that you have to live and experience. So that's why live is always better, and I appreciate the opportunity to pre-record this performance for you. You know, even though this is not the ideal place or time, you know, this is empty powwow grounds. However, I felt it was special. I knew that it would be challenging to dance here today, you know, because I miss the powwow, and I miss the people, and that's what makes the powwow, is the people, and that's who we dance for. Want to bring that closer, please? All right, so as I was saying, and close to everything, you know, I miss all of you. I miss the people, you know, because that's half of the show, is feeding off the energy of the people and being able to do this for the people on a regular basis. This is something that we've done for many, many generations. And, you know, so I thought it was kind of weird performing today to no audience. I practice all the time to no audience, but when performing, it's always the audience though, because you get the energy from the people. And to be honest with you, I didn't feel very much energy from anything other than the mosquitoes today. The mosquitoes sure made a good meal out of me. So I guess I offered myself today to the land and to the mosquitoes, and I'm at the mercy of the weather. You know, it's a very humbling experience to come out and dance on the land like this and share. But either way, you know, like I'm grateful though for another day of dancing. It was a beautiful experience, and you know, I take every chance I can get on the land. You know, I'm out in my yard every day. I'm out doing different things on the land every day. Not always dancing, and dancing is just a part of who I am and what I do. So I thought I would share that with you. So to all of you out there, if you want to join me in my morning class, I do a morning class on Facebook Live. I post it every day, and if you want to join me for some powwow dance aerobics, please do so. And in the meantime, and in between time, you guys stay safe out there, and I'm sure we'll see each other again someday soon on the powwow trail. And there's no word for goodbye in our language. We only say see you again. So the word in Cree is actually, we say kipa kawapumptin, and we say examaga. And thank you in the Cree language is, well, the short version is hi hi, and the long version is actually kinena skumptin. So again, from my family to yours, and to, I'd also like to acknowledge all those frontline workers out there, all the healthcare workers that are helping us out, helping our people out, and helping all people out. I would like to acknowledge and thank you and express my gratitude to all the frontline workers, all the essential workers that have helped us get through this global pandemic, and to all the organizers that put on this event and this festival. Round of applause for you. Me and all my mosquito friends, we applaud you, and we give thanks to the opportunity, and to all the people out there as well. You guys have a beautiful day, and we'll see you again in the future. Hi, kinena skupten.